Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Welcome back to the Cory Lee Show. We got a solo cast today, and I'm calling this podcast, I'm titling this one, 5 Leadership Lessons That I Learned the Hard Way. You know, sometimes you learn lessons from watching other people, and sometimes you learn lessons the hard way, right? You discover it the hard way, and that's why we often say that experience is not the greatest teacher, but evaluated experience is the greatest teacher. And so when we can look at moments and say, if something happened that was good, what were the lessons that I can learn from that? If something, and I label it bad, what are still the lessons that I can learn within that? And I never allow the moment to pass. And so it's whenever I evaluate the moments that allows the lessons to catch up with me. Here's one thing that I know is that success leaves clues, that you are successful. And if you'll look back over the course of your life and you'll discover those successes and kind of just dive into what maybe led up to those successes, what were the circumstances surrounding that, what were the decisions that you were making and considering, and you can discover that success leaves clues. The same thing with our failures or the times where our faults, that you can still learn the lessons of that moment if you're willing to sit down and take a look at them and listen. And I was just walking, actually, I thought about this morning. What were some of the lessons that I've learned, maybe the hard way? And there are actually more, but these are the first 5 that popped into my mind, and I just wanted to share them with you. And for many of you know that what I do now is I do leadership training and development. I actually get the opportunity to go in and work with leaders all around the country to develop their leadership, develop their leadership teams. And what I like to say is we build leaders and we transform culture. That's what we do, and absolutely love that. But my background is in the medical field. I'm a physical therapist assistant, and in a 5-year period of time, my wife and I, we built 2 physical therapy clinics, 4 gyms, had 3 kids, sold all the businesses, and kept all the kids, like I often say. And I do now develop leaders and transform culture. When we opened up our first business, y'all, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about growth and development. All I knew was that I love to help people, and I knew a certain skill, which was physical therapy. And when we hired our first team member, y'all, that is whenever I got really nervous. That's when I got scared, because I figured out that, and I discovered that the decisions I made didn't just affect me and my family now they affected somebody else's family. And I realized that I needed to grow. I had to get better. What I intuitively realized was what we call in leadership, the leadership lane, the law of the lid, that if I lead anything, it doesn't matter if it's a small group, if it's a large business, if it's a team on a business, if it's a community group, whatever I lead, I am the lid on that team, that my team will never surpass my ability to lead. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, if I'm a 5, then that means my team will always be a 4, 3, 2, or 1. It will never surpass my ability to lead. However, if I would choose to grow and I choose to get better, then the potential of my team would go up as well. And so what I realized was that I actually had a lid, that as the leader of our team, I was the lid. Here's the thing, is you will always have a lid. If you get to the point where you say you do not have a lid, then what you've really said is then you're actually stopping growing. You're going to stop growing. As you continue to push to see how far you can go, you will discover where your current ability lies. And it's in those moments that we can choose to do certain things. When you push and just try to push to see how far you can go, you're going to come up against where your current ability lies. And then in those moments, you can complain about it, you can moan about it, you can point fingers, you can cast blame, or you can say, you know what? I'm going to choose to grow. I recognize that there are some areas and gaps in my ability to lead that I need to grow. And so I'm going to do what Beyonce says. I'm going to put a ring on it, right? I'm going to put a ring on my growth and my development, and I'm going to get better. And so for me, starting out, my first lid was ignorance, straight up ignorance, right? Like I did not know what I didn't know. And there's an interesting growth that comes here. There's these phases of growth, and that first phase is you don't know what you don't know, right? You just don't know. Then you hit the next step is where I become aware of what I don't know, and I choose to grow. And so now I've become aware of the areas where I need to grow, and I'm going to make a decision that I'm going to grow. And so then you go into the next stage, and that's I just continue to grow, and I continue to get better, and I continue to discover areas of continued growth. And so I was at this a couple years ago. I was at this speaking opportunity. I was to open us up, and I was to open us up and kind of define really where we were going in this event. And you could kind of feel in the air that there was just a little bit of apprehensiveness. There was a little bit of uncertainty of what in the world we were going to do that night. And I kind of, my role was to open us up. And so I jump in and I just kind of get to start talking and speaking. And the whole event, it goes good, right? Like it's good, but you can just feel that something was missing, something was off. And afterwards, we were doing a little bit of debrief as a team. We were all talking about what we felt was maybe off, or what maybe could have been better. And finally, the leader of this group, he looked over at me. He said, "Well, Cory, what do you think?" And I said, "Yeah, I agree. I felt like it was good, but there was something missing. Something just, it wasn't what it could have been." And he said, "Cory, when you opened us up, you didn't tell anybody your name. You didn't introduce the rest of your team members. You didn't connect the people that were in the room. They were apprehensive. This is the first time that they have ever been in the room together. These people that we were talking with, this is the first time they had ever been in a group. And so, of course, there's going to be uncertainty. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of apprehensiveness. And when you opened it up, you're one of the nicest, kindest people in the world. You just jumped right in. But you didn't connect. You didn't make the moment to connect. And y'all, I was blown away. It hit me in the gut. It was embarrassing. Here's why it was embarrassing, because that's what I do for a living. I am great at that, right? Like I teach people how to connect. I go into rooms all the time where there's a lot of apprehensive people in the room, and maybe even some of them that don't even want to be there. But in this moment, I was blinded. I didn't even see what was going on. And I had another leader who was at a higher level of awareness make me become aware of this area of growth for me. The reason I'm sharing this was actually in the faith lane. In the leadership lane, I feel good, right? Like I can do this. But I had this thing in the faith lane that things had to be a certain way. And I had a certain expectation that things had to be, and it caused me to be blinded to actually really the gifting that I could bring into the entire room, the thing I'm actually good at. And this guy made me aware of that, and I can remember riding back home. I was so embarrassed. It felt like I was punched in the gut. And I remember praying. I was like, "Lord, this hurts, man. This hurts. This is embarrassing, like I should know this." And what I felt like the Lord said was, he said, "Wasn't that a beautiful gift? Wasn't that a beautiful gift?" And I'm like, "No, man, dude, this is embarrassing. This hurts, And he said, "Wasn't that a beautiful gift? You've been wondering, you've been trying to get certain results in certain areas of your life, and you've been hitting up against an invisible wall, if you will. He just gave you the reason why you're not getting the results that you're looking for. Wasn't that a beautiful gift?" And it was a beautiful gift. But it was also embarrassing. And the reason I share that story is because as you continue to push, you will come up against your current abilities and where your current abilities lie. You become aware of areas of growth. And it's in that moment, will you choose to get up, and will you choose to push forward. Growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better. I cannot lead you tomorrow based on today's leadership understanding. I've got to do everything my goal is I'm going to do everything I can do today to give my very best. I'm going to do everything I can, like Coach John Wooden says, to make today my masterpiece and to reach today's ceiling. But the very moment I wake up and I put my feet on the floor, I am now standing on yesterday's ceiling. Yesterday's ceiling is now today's floor. I've got to keep getting better. I've got to keep getting better and growing. And so you will come up against these lids. And so I mentioned my first lid was ignorance. My second lid was, you know what, I was growing, but the people around me weren't. And so I had to develop my people. Then my next lid was, I have this people-pleasing tendency that I'm working on, but I wasn't holding people accountable. And that was a lid for not only for me, but the people that I lead. And I had to realize something that, I was trying to people please, and I'm going to talk about it here in just a little bit, but I try to keep everybody happy. And I had a guy say to me one time, or actually it was a lady, she said, Cory, it is not kind if you have a friend who's getting in the boat and they're going to go fishing for the day, and if you know that the boat that they are in has a hole in that boat, it is not kind for you to stand on the shore and wave and say, hey, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great time fishing today, and never tell them about the hole that's in their boat. That is not kind. That is not nice. And so what I had to realize was, if I see somebody going in the wrong direction, they don't need motivation and encouragement to speed up. They need to turn around. And so correcting people is actually part of leadership. And it doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be rude. But if I'm going to develop people, if I'm going to see people grow, sometimes that comes with correction. We talk about accountability. Accountability is an account for your ability, not your inability. And so I love you too much to leave you where you are. So I'm going to correct you and help you to grow. And so my first lesson that I learned the hard way was really dealing with the lids in life. As you talk to any successful people, they will tell you that they're standing on a pile of failures. And so really as you listen to this, what is your relationship with failure? Do you see failure as fatal, or do you see it as really a stepping stone to growth? Nobody wants to fail. Nobody likes to fail, right? Nobody wants to fail. But it is often part of, well, I'm not going to say often, it is part of the equation to success, okay? And so I want to ask you right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself and your ability to lead? I know that is a very subjective question, but how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being, you know what? The whole world needs to take notice of me and my ability to lead, right? Like the whole world will be better off if they would just follow me. The second one is, number 1 would be like, you know what, I've got a long way to go. So how would you rate yourself? And whatever number you give yourself, I would really encourage you to sit down really with this question is, what do you believe that holds you back from being a higher number? So if you gave yourself a 5, what is it that holds you back from being a 6? If you're a 2, what is it that holds you back from being a 3? And so the law of the lid was a lesson that I learned the hard way. The second one is I titled it The Dichotomy of Leadership. I've heard a lot of people complain, and I've even experienced it myself, about being micromanaged, and it ain't no fun, right? And being micromanaged, it is not any fun. So I knew that whenever I was going to lead, I did not want to micromanage people. I was going to do whatever I could not to micromanage people. Well, in my desire not to micromanage people, I actually discovered that there was a polar opposite way to lead that was just as damaging. It's being passive and completely hands off. This is where we're trying to be buddy-buddy with everybody. And you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You want to keep everybody happy. You see, we had lots of laughter, but no one knew what to do. My nonchalant hands-off approach, it actually came off as apathetic and indifferent, which caused people to lack confidence. Here's what I've discovered. When people lack confidence, they lack commitment. See, I had a mentor say one time, he said, Cory, you got to make a decision if you're going to try to have everybody love you, or if you're going to lead people from a place of love, and they're not the same thing. The reality is you cannot make everybody love you. but you can lead everybody from a place of love. And in this, what he was really talking about was in decision making. See, what I used to like to do is if we had a group of about 7 or 8 people, I would ask everybody what they thought we should do, and I would go with the majority vote would win, right? So if we had 7 people in there and 4 voted for one way, we would go with the way that the majority vote went. I wanted to make everybody happy, or the majority of people happy. And he said, leadership decisions are not based on consensus of opinion.
Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Cory Lee Show. Y'all, I am on a mission to build leaders and to transform culture. So if you're looking for a speaker who speaks directly to the heart, a mentor to come alongside you and your team, or if you're in a position where you're looking for a personal coach who embraces where you are and also believes in who you could become, then I would be honored to walk this path with you. Simply reach out to me on my email at Cory@CoryLeeLeadership.com. Look, let's make your vision a reality. Contact me, and together we'll navigate the path from aspiration to achievement. Your transformation, it starts now.
Leadership decisions are not based on consensus of opinion. See, because what leadership decisions are is you're making a decision based on where we're at and where we're going, and that is often not based on consensus of opinion. If you think back to physics class, physics will teach you that motion causes friction. And in leadership, we're moving people from where we are to where we're going, and there's friction there. Often people do not want to be moved. And so leadership decisions are not based on consensus of opinion. And what I've discovered in that is, yes, I want to ask my people their perspective, because their perspective, it matters. Not only does it help me to see the bigger picture, but also when they feel like they have a voice, they feel like they've got a seat at the table. And I want them to know that they've got a seat at the table. But leadership decisions are not based on consensus of opinion. It's based on where we're at and where we're going. So I ask them for their perspective so that I can see the bigger picture, and maybe they see something that I do not see, but I'm not going to make my decision based on majority vote wins. And so what I found, this nonchalant hands-off, it actually was just as damaging as the micromanagement. And so people want to be led. They want to be a part of something. The dichotomy that I found in this is that micromanagement up front with the intent that they grow into owning whatever role it is that they have on the team. And so, yes, there's a little more hand-holding up front, of course, because I want to teach them how to do the task that they're doing. People fail in their jobs because of a couple of things, and one of them is they don't have clear expectations. Like, we don't let our people know what winning actually looks like. We don't let them know what excellence in the job looks like. And so we say, hey, we need you to do this job. You're the one for it, and we hand it to them, and they get going. And they're just doing their thing, and they're doing mediocre results because we haven't told them what excellence looks like. And then it comes time for their yearly performance review, and they get a low score. But all this time, they thought they've been doing good because we haven't given them excellence of what excellence looks like, and we haven't given them feedback on correction. And so micromanagement up front to kind of help them get their feet under them, but with the intent to hand it off to them where they own the thing, right? And so many of you have heard us talk about this 5-step equipping process. So if I'm going to teach anybody how to do anything, we're going to go through this 5-step equipping process, and that's I do it. So if I'm going to teach you how to do something, I need to know how to do it. If I'm going to empower you, I need to first have power to give away. So I do it. Then it's I do it, you watch me. You're kind of like a fly on the wall. You're watching what I'm doing, but I want you to position yourself like a student. I want you to ask questions. I want you to really engage. I'm going to be teaching you how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it, because I want to teach you how to think, not just what to think. And so I'm showing you what I'm doing. I'm telling you my thought process. And then it's you do it, I watch you. You do it, I watch you. I give you the opportunity, and then I'm going to kind of be the fly on the wall. I'm going to actually move into coaching you. I want to ask you questions. And really, this is a very challenging time here where you've handed it off to people and you give them an opportunity. many of you know what I'm talking about. It's like you're in this phase of like, ooh, should I step in? No. I'm not going to step in. Should I step in? No. I'm going to let them do it. I'm going to let them figure it out, right? And so you're in this tension of stepping in and doing it for them or letting them struggle to figure it out. But you're not leaving them hanging. So after they do the thing, you're going to sit down and you're going to talk through it and you're going to coach them up. And so step 1, I do it. Step 2 is I do it, you watch me. Step 3 is you do it, I watch you. And step 4 is you do it. I hand it over to you. You have full responsibility. You have full authority. You have full control. But we don't stop there. There's a level, or step 5 is you do it. Somebody else watches you. There's always this equipping down process. This is a bottleneck happens in a company where the leader becomes the bottleneck and they hold on to everything, or they've handed it off to someone and they become the bottleneck. And so we want this continual equipping down process. I was coaching this guy one time. We were doing one-on-one coaching, and he said to me one time, he said, I'm working for this company and man, I'm all in. I'll do whatever they ask me to do. And he had been working there for a few years now. And he's like, you know what? I'll do anything they tell me to do. I'm all in. They just got to tell me what to do. And I remember talking with him. I was like, you've been here for a while. And that's great, man. I love your passion. I love how you're all in. But at some point, you've got to make the transition from waiting around for orders and make the transition to capturing the vision of where the company is and where they're going and just jump in. See a need and jump in. See an opportunity and jump in. Not waiting around for orders, but seeing where we're going and jump in. And so for me, one of the lessons I learned the hard way is this dichotomy of leadership. And there's a lot of them, a lot of dichotomies within leadership. But this one for me it was a challenge for me, micromanaging and being completely hands off. And so there is a balance there, and the importance of knowing your people, knowing where they're at, knowing what they need, knowing what their personal goals are, their professional goals, their financial goals, and how do you help bring that out of them and help them get there. The third one that I learned kind of the hard way is the importance of having a clear vision and knowing what your values are. I discovered that not all open doors are the ones that I should walk through, or as my preacher friend says, not all good things are God things, right? And so vision says where I'm going. My values are more of my guardrails. Vision is what we plan to do and where we're going. My values is kind of the manner in which we're going to achieve it. Vision is more about doing, but the values is more about being. It's who we are. Proverbs talks about without vision, the people perish. When you look at that, the word perish, it kind of implies wandering aimlessly. When there is no vision of where we're going, the people wander and they wonder. They wander around aimlessly and then they wonder, what in the world are we doing, right? They wander and they wonder. We had our physical therapy clinic. We were in a town of about 1,100 people. That's right, 1,100 people, and we were growing. We needed another physical therapist. And we had this young lady come in, and she came in for an interview, and I was telling her about our vision and direction that we were going and how we were getting the opportunity to make not just physical therapy. We were literally making an impact in the healthcare of the community that we're in. We were getting the opportunity to work with the sports teams and how those sports teams were winning state championships. And, if she came on to our team, how she got to be a part of all of that. And she told me, it's like, that's not really what I'm looking for. And I was stunned, right? I go back home and I tell my wife, how in the world can you claim to be a physical therapist and not want to be a part of this? And my wife, she's very wise, and she said, Cory, not everybody wants to be a part of your vision. And how profound and how true that is. It did not make her a good person or a bad person. It didn't make me a good person or a bad person for having a vision. But what it did have is whenever I was clear on our vision and I cast that to her, it allowed her to say, yes, I want to be a part of that, or no, I don't want to be a part of that. Vision, when you clearly articulate your vision, people want to be a part of something, like I said, it allows them to say, yes, I do, or no, I don't. I want to be a part of where you're going. No, that's not really what I'm looking for. Knowing your vision and values, it also helps you make your decisions. Successful leaders, they have a habit around making decisions. They make their decisions quickly and they change their minds slowly. Unsuccessful leaders, they make their decisions slowly and then they change their minds quickly. When you think about decision making and making decisions quickly, it's not a time thing. It's really, you've gathered all the information that you need to have to make a decision. It is time to make a decision. Like Teddy Roosevelt said, in a moment of decision, the best choice you can make is the right choice. The next best choice you can make is the wrong choice. And the worst choice you can make is no choice at all. And so what we're saying here is that when the moment of decision has come, successful leaders, they make their decisions quickly and then they change their minds slowly. Well, how do they make their decisions quickly? They understand where they're going, their vision, and they know what their values are, what their non-negotiables are. And when an opportunity comes, they can say, is this in alignment with where I'm going and what our non-negotiables are? Who we want to be, what we want to stand for, what we want to be known for. Is this opportunity in alignment with that? Yes, it is. All right, awesome, let's go. No, it's not. All right, great, let's bypass this. And so knowing where you're going in life, knowing where you're going as a team, and knowing what your non-negotiables are. Man, when you know that up front, it helps with decision making. And number 4 that I learned is believing the best in people usually brings out the best in people. Many of you have heard me talk about this. You've heard me quote this quote that I'm about to quote because it's one of my favorite, and that's, treat a man as he appears to be, and he remains the same. But if you treat him as if he were what he could become, then eventually he'll become what he should and could become. What I love about that quote, what that quote says is if you're, while I'm listening to this, me and you, if we're sitting down, if I'm leading you, and if I lead you and I treat you based off of what I see on the physical appearance, or I treat you based off of what I know about your past, then I leave you unchanged. You remain the same. But if I see something in you, if I call out what I see within you, see, what leaders do is they see talent and potential and they extract talent and potential. They don't see people as they are, but as they could be, and they introduce people to their potential. That's what real leaders do. Believing the best in people usually brings out the best in people. Where I learned this the hard way, though, is, see, I liked my people. I liked the people on our team. I did. I truly liked them. But I didn't really trust them enough to hand them off key responsibilities. See, I didn't believe them. I believed in them to a point, but I didn't believe in them enough to hand them off things that mattered. See, we want to set people up for success. What true leaders do is they see talent and potential and they extract that talent and potential. But most people don't know what they're capable of until they're given an opportunity. As a leader, you don't even know what people are capable of until giving them an opportunity. You want to believe the best in them and hand them off the opportunities that are in alignment with their strengths, talents, and abilities. Earlier on, I was kind of talking about the lid. Growth happens outside of your comfort zone, okay? So if you're going to grow, you got to get outside of your comfort zone. What I've learned about the comfort zone is it's not very comfortable. It's just familiar. It's what we're familiar with. So you often want to be out of your comfort zone, but you never want to be out of your strength zone. You know, there's this thought of, should I focus on my weaknesses or should I focus on my strengths? And I'm 100% focused on your strengths. I believe you can become good in your areas of weaknesses, but you'll never become great. You can only become great in your area of giftedness. Why I'm saying this here is because great leaders not only do great things themselves, but they position people to bring out the greatness within them. They see them and then they seed them in their area of giftedness. I think to take a talented person and to position them improperly not only hurts the team, but it hurts the individual. And so believing the best in people usually brings out the best in people. But I got to tell you, it's easy to believe in people when they're already proven themselves or when they're already doing amazing things. It's not so easy to believe in people before they've earned the right to be believed in. That's where you uncover some of the diamonds in the rough. But it's high risk, high reward. High risk, high reward, because in order to do that, you got to get close to your people. And when we get close to people, we open ourselves up. We open ourselves up to be abused, used, and accused. And if you've been in leadership long enough, it's probably happened to you. But getting close to people is the only way you're going to bring out the best in them. You know, a lot of times there's this thought when I was kind of starting to study leadership is you got to keep your people far away from you. And I do believe there are healthy boundaries leaders have to have put in place, but it's only by getting up close to them that you can help them. If they don't get close to you, they can't hurt you, but they also can't help you. And so the last one is growth is often spelled R-I-S-K. Growth is often spelled R-I-S-K, risk. See, the reason most people never reach their full potential is they're unwilling to pay the next price. You got to be willing to give up in order to go up. There is no success without sacrifice. Jim Collins wrote a book called Good to Great, and he said, good is the enemy of great. For anybody who's ever accomplished anything, you know that you had to make a sacrifice. You had to give up something of a lesser value in order to gain something of a greater value. John Maxwell talks about success. It's anything worthwhile, it's uphill, but it's also uphill all the way. And what happens is people may make a sacrifice and they start to get a good return on their risk and they stop paying the price. They're unwilling to pay the next price because the risk has gotten too high, or maybe they're unwilling to make that next risk. I want to encourage you that success, it is uphill, and it's uphill all the way to the top. You will never coast uphill. You can coast downhill. Most people have uphill dreams, but they have downhill habits. And so I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I was really thinking on this morning as I was going for my run. And I hope today has encouraged you. I hope it's inspired you. I hope it got something from it that you can take and apply to your life to impact the world around you. I appreciate you guys. I hope, you know what, if this has added value to you, make sure you subscribe. That's how we can, you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes, but also share it. By sharing this, it helps us to get a word of encouragement and inspiration out to even more people. And if you go on to your favorite podcast platform and just give us a rate and a review, that also helps us to get noticed where we can get this message out and some of our messages out. I hope you guys are hearing what I am saying is that my desire is to develop leaders in the right way, to develop men and women who are bigger on the inside than on the outside, men and women who are good at what they do and great at who they are. You can help me do that by getting this message out and getting our podcast out. So, hey, I hope you guys have a great day and God bless.
3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.